Hey guys, Mike here. So today I'm here to talk to you about the new Lion King movie. In this review, I'll be going over a brief summary of the plot, my quick thoughts about the film, and whether or not you guys should go and see it. So the main thing I'm going to be going over in this review is talking about how the 2019 Lion King movie compares to the original 1994 movie. So there will be spoilers talking about the original and the new one. So if you don't want to know anything about either one, I'd suggest coming back to this video once you've seen the film. However, if you've seen both the new and the old Lion King, or you don't really care about spoilers, then stick around to see what I think. So with that all out of the way, let's get started, shall we? So Jon Favreau's The Lion King is the latest edition in the age of live-action Disney remakes. Though with this one, it's kind of hard to call it live-action because it's a bit unclear how much of this is actually live-action. This new Lion King movie has a whole new cast. The only returning actor is James Earl Jones as Mufasa. Now, I'm pretty sure most people have seen The Lion King or know the story to it, but for those of you who don't know, in a nutshell, Simba is the future king of Pride Rock, but his uncle Scar feels like he's been cheated because he was supposed to be the next in line. So Scar tries to get rid of Simba, he succeeds in that, Simba ends up getting exiled, he spends all of his life pretty much away from the Pride Lands, and then he has to return to reclaim his throne. The Lion King in a nutshell, basically. And in this movie, even with some altered scenes or some just brand new additional scenes, this is still the case. This is still basically just The Lion King. But how does Jon Favreau's Lion King compare to the 1994 Lion King? First of all, I've seen a handful of the live-action Disney remakes, but this is the first one that I've actually seen the original animated version and have great nostalgic love for it. Because with, like, say, Dumbo, I had seen the original movie, but it wasn't really one of those ones that I'd grown up particularly loving. It's not exactly one of my all-time favourite movies, but I did actually, like Dumbo. And unfortunately, if you've seen my Dumbo review, I absolutely hated that movie. So, how does the new Lion King movie fare? Well, to put it shortly, this movie's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. First of all, the visuals, the CGI were absolutely gorgeous. Probably some of the best I've ever seen in a movie. You really felt like you were looking into a real world, and seeing this in IMAX 2D definitely helped. Because I try and do IMAX as much as I can with these big screen event movies, but if a movie's showing in IMAX 2D as opposed to IMAX 3D, then I'll just go see it regardless, no matter what it is. And I'm so glad I got to see this movie in IMAX. The only thing I took a little bit of issue with the CGI was seeing the animals trying to emote using their faces. Now, luckily for the movie, I know how the original goes, so I know how they should be feeling, and because the voice actors do such a good job, you really know what emotion they are supposed to be conveying. But if you were just relying on the facial expressions, then you probably wouldn't know how they're feeling. I know it's supposed to be conveying a real-life version, but, it is kind of hard to engage with the characters when you can't really tell how they're feeling. But realistically, you can take it from context and from knowing the original, so it's not really that big a deal. So now, let's move on to the cast. First of all, having James Earl Jones back was obviously great. It was just brilliant hearing that wise, booming voice again, even if parts you can really kind of tell how old James Earl Jones is now. But even still, even though it has been like 25 years since he's played the character, you can still tell that he has not forgotten how to really kind of portray this character. But everyone else did a brilliant job as well. Donald Glover, Beyonce, to name a few. But the standouts for me were Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar and John Oliver as Zazu. First of all, Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar, I had absolutely no idea it was him. I was just hearing this voice and I'm just like, who's this actor? I can't even tell who it is. And then when I looked it up, I found out that it was him. And I was really quite blown away by the fact that it was him. Even knowing that it is him now, still can't hear any trace of him. But despite the praise I am actually giving to the character of Scar, there was a major issue I had, which I will get to in a bit. But moving on to John Oliver as Zazu, he was for me the person who really embodied the character best and pretty much made it his own at the same time. Because realistically, everyone could have just done an impression of the real characters. But I think John Oliver did the best job of really sticking to what made the character great whilst making it his own as well. But easily the worst casting choice for this movie, and I knew it would be as soon as I heard he was cast. When I was going into the movie, I knew it was going to be a bad idea, and walking out of the movie, my opinion hasn't really changed all that much. The person I'm talking about is Seth Rogen as Pumbaa. I mean, you've got world-class actors in this movie, and you get Seth Rogen to play Pumbaa. I haven't got any massive problems with Seth Rogen, he's a fairly decent actor, he's fine, but in nearly every single movie that he's in, he just plays Seth Rogen, and The Lion King is no exception. To be fair, when he's actually just talking, saying the lines, being funny, he's, fine, he's serviceable, but it's when he starts singing that it really goes downhill. because Seth Rogen cannot sing to save his own life. It sounds fine when he's singing with Timon, you know, the two of them do blend quite well together. And in all fairness, when Seth Rogen's kind of doing the backing acoustics or whatever for In the Jungle Tonight, you know, that did sound pretty good, but actually singing words didn't work out well for him. But, you know, having said that, it didn't ruin the movie for me, it didn't really completely take me out of it. It's just you could have cast someone much better than Seth Rogen. But now, going on to the music, I was really worried that they would just completely skip over all the music and just make this, you know, a non-musical. But thankfully, this was not the case. Every song in this movie is brilliantly performed. And honestly, now I'm still trying to get that I Can't Wait to Be King song out of my head. And after the movie, I guarantee that it'll be stuck in your head too. The duet between Donald Glover and Beyonce was brilliant. The two of them really blended well together and they really captured the essence of the scene. But with the music though, one of the biggest crimes of the movie was committed. Now, I love all the songs in the movie, they're all really good, but my personal favourite is Be Prepared, the song performed by Scar. Originally performed by Jeremy Irons and for the last part, Jim Cummings. It's an absolutely brilliant song, it's one of the most epic in the entire movie. So, I was really looking forward to see how they do it in this one. He kind of starts off by saying, be prepared, then he gets a little bit more sing-songy, but then he just kind of belts out the last note, be prepared, and that's it. The song is literally over in about 30 seconds. So one of the best songs in the entire movie is completely butchered. And this was the point where I was really actually starting to get worried about this movie, that they were going to butcher the rest of the songs and make the rest of the movie just be completely lackluster. Thankfully, this was one of the only butchered scenes in the movie. Now obviously the movie, it adds scenes, it adds characters, it adds different dynamics with other characters, and some of them I think were actually much better than the original. Like for example, the Stampede scene, which on the big screen did look amazing. It really captured the intensity, the emotion, everything about it was brilliantly recreated. But the thing that I think they did actually better than the original movie was a slight kind of plot point moment. Because in the original one, after Mufasa goes down to try and save Simba, it's just Zazu and Scar up the top, and Zazu's panicking, so Scar smacks him across the face, and he ends up hitting a rock, and he's knocked out. And later on, Zazu doesn't really say anything about it. He doesn't say, hey Scar, why did you knock me out? Did you actually do something? And that was actually kind of something that was a bit of a plot hole in the original movie. Whereas in the new movie, after Mufasa goes down to get Simba, Scar and Zazu are left by themselves, Zazu's panicking, and Scar says to him, go get help, I'll try and save them too. And then Zazu actually goes off. Which I think made a lot more sense and didn't leave this minor plot hole. Another scene which I think they did better was when the hyenas are chasing down Simba to try and kill him after Scar tells them to go kill him. In the original one, after Simba gets away, the hyenas see him running away, and instead of actually chasing him down, seeing that he's alive, they just say to him, don't come back here or we'll kill you, instead of, you know, actually finishing the job and guaranteeing that he never comes back. Whereas in the new one, he kind of falls down into the thorns and they can't see where he's gone. So the alpha hyena says, go down and go get him. And they can't see him, so for all they know, he actually is dead. Though for the most part it is them being lazy and not checking. And it is kind of the same problem as the original one. But I think it was actually done a little bit better because it makes a little bit more sense for them to think that he actually is dead as opposed to knowing that he actually isn't dead and not going after him. And also the other additional scenes were definitely a welcome sight as well. But honestly, I didn't really think it made the film feel all that longer because the original movie is about an hour and a half long and this new one is nearly 2 hours long. But at no point did these additional scenes or the movie as a whole feel like a 2-hour movie. I think it was mainly just because I was enjoying the movie so much that it just completely flew by. But another scene which I think they didn't necessarily butcher, but I think they wasted an opportunity to do something really epic, was the scene where Rafiki shows Simba Mufasa in the water. Now obviously this is a symbolic scene that his father is a part of him and he basically is his father and, you know, he needs to search within to find his strength to kind of overcome his obstacles. But it's the scene in the clouds. In the original one, you see Mufasa, grand spectacle, godlike voice, giving Simba all the advice he needs. And while that booming voice is there in this new one, they kind of wasted the opportunity to do something really epic with the clouds. Instead they kind of have this kind of swirling tornado thing and kind of light silhouettes of Mufasa's face. Whereas they could have just gone full-blown CGI god cloud thing. But unlike the Be Prepared scene, this didn't actually ruin the movie. It's just, I thought it was a little bit of a wasted opportunity. Now, something else I was a little kind of disappointed about was that they didn't have one of my favourite lines from the entire movie. It's the scene where Rafiki hits Simba on the head and he tells him the past can hurt. but the way he sees it, you can either run from it or learn from it. Now, that's such a brilliant scene. Obviously, it's very on the nose and it's very obvious what he's trying to say. But for a kids movie, you know, sometimes you have to be quite blatant with your message. And I thought this was such a brilliant analogy. And I think that was done a slight disservice by not having it in this one. I think, honestly, the line is definitely on par with one of my favourite lines from Kung Fu Panda, where Master Oogway says, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the present." It's just simple little lines like that which really convey pretty much the whole movie's message. And it's just such a shame that this line didn't make it into the movie. But also, I think as well, the movie did a really good job having the epic scale that the original movie did have as well. Because in the battle scene at the end, mainly with Scar and Simba's final confrontation, it was just amazing to see on the screen. Every single slap, claw, everything was booming. It felt grand in scale, and it was just really brilliant to see. And as well, one of the main nostalgic things I really felt about this movie, other than hearing the songs again, was just the brilliant score. I thought at first they were kind of missing the point of the original scenes with the score, but they were kind of just blending into it a little slower than the original movie, so you just have to kind of do a bit of a waiting game with it. Overall, guys, I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would. The cast, for the most part, were brilliantly chosen. The music and the songs, for the most part, were brilliantly done. The CGI was gorgeous, and I think this is probably going to be the one that's going to win all the visual effects awards at the Oscars. Though I think that probably Endgame should win quite a few of them. I reckon that this will be the one that will win them. But the ultimate question we need to ask ourselves is, was this movie a soulless cash grab, and did it need to be made? So first of all, is it a cash grab? Of course it is. Pretty much every movie or remake are just cash grabs, really. Is it soulless? No. This movie definitely tries very, very well, and for the most part, I think it does recapture the magic of the original one. Did it need to be made? No, I don't think that this movie was a necessity. We didn't exactly need a remake to The Lion King. But after having seen it, it's definitely not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And it's definitely not as bad as most people are saying it is. I've read some of the reviews for this, and they're just absolutely slating it. And I'm just like, this movie isn't terrible. It's actually pretty good. I bet probably most of these people haven't even watched the movie, and they're just kind of just, you know, just Lion King purists, and they don't really, you know, like anything new. Or maybe they have seen the movie and they genuinely hate it, which is, you know, obviously their choice. If they want to hate it, feel free. It's just, I actually quite enjoyed this one. But now, as for whether or not, you guys should go and see it. Ultimately, I would say that you definitely need to go see this movie in the cinema. And I would actually say, go see this one in IMAX. Don't worry about seeing it IMAX 3D, but if there is only IMAX 3D, then, you know, go see it in IMAX. But if there's an IMAX 2D showing, absolutely go out of your way to see it in that. Because I guarantee you'll have a brilliant experience watching this movie in IMAX 2D. Okay guys, that's my review of the new Lion King movie. If you've seen it, what did you think about it? And what do you think about all these live-action Disney remakes? Whatever you think, drop it in the comments below. And until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!